let's see, well, we didn't get very far, but okay, so the six paramitas, let's see, we talked, okay, just quick review here. What are, okay, the paramita means, to cross to the other shore of enlightenment. It's the way to become enlightened, to become a Buddha, really, the path to become a Buddha. And to become a Buddha, you have to be, inspired to be like a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is one, especially to help benefit all sentient beings. Okay, so it's not just ourselves, that we don't want to become enlightened ourselves, but also to encourage, to try to guide others to become enlightened. All right. Well, the purpose of these paramitas is to, reduce or to eliminate our attachments to foremost ourself. Okay, that is obviously the physical body and any other forms of attachment. All right, and let's see. Okay. All right, so these are the six. Giving, or the first one is giving or generosity or charity. Okay, and then you have discipline, which actually is moral discipline. In Buddhism, there's a lot of precepts that practitioners or anyone who's on a bodhisattva path. There are many precepts which that we follow. Okay, practice, and so six paramitas are part of that. There's forbearance, of course, tolerance, patience, that's a very important one. Basically, all these paramitas, they address certain, you can say, what do you want to call it? Maybe shortcomings, maybe, that we may have, okay? All right, so let's last time we left off here. Okay, so we're talking about giving, giving or charity, all right. So the first type of thing, there's giving in, there are three different ways, or four, I guess. Giving, this is what we might call external giving. So giving of material things that we have, whether it's money, other material things, or we can give the Dharma, which means, we can understand the Buddha's teachings, and we can try to talk to others about that, or just to, even if we don't, right? The last time I gave an example of this Dao-kin from Japan who doesn't really understand a lot of the principles, but he knows that this Dao is very good, and so tried to spread to other people. And then, of course, time and effort, not everyone has a lot of money, so, put in time and effort to help. That's another way to do it. And then giving courage is to help others when when they're in that kind of need. Excuse me. All right. Okay. So now the other aspect of giving. So this, you can say it's actually you can say it's also part of this altruistic giving. Altruistic is really meaning to give for the benefit of others. Okay. So it's not just at the lowest level, giving is, you can say, I give for a reason, and that's okay. That's a start, okay. But that's not we want to go beyond that level, okay. Because most people they do give charity, things like that, but then it might be for a certain reason. But we want to go beyond having a reason. Truly altruistic giving has no reason. I mean, it's doing it because it's the right thing to do. It's to help others. All right. So now, giving of ourselves is the same thing. So giving of ourselves, part you can say giving our time and effort is also giving of ourselves. But we also want to give up certain things, our attachments. Right. Remember, the purpose of the paramitas is to get rid of our attachments. So we have to give up certain things, our attachments. All right, so our desires, things that we might have. Okay, so what we might give up. Okay, so last time we talked about alcohol or intoxicants. Obviously, we cannot consume. That's actually one of the precepts. The 5 precepts is one is to give up alcohol or intoxicants. Right, and I say extravagant or fancy, food, drink. I mean, it's just we don't want to go to excess and eat like a king. Okay, eat and drink like a king. then that's not befitting of a cultivator. You know, obviously we don't have to eat like, you know, the monks of the past, where they're begging for food and eating whatever they're given. Today we still have a choice. We can choose what we can eat. But the idea is that we don't go to excess. We don't say, oh, I have to have certain, you know, fancy food to survive. I mean, it's not. Then, you know, that's already we showing a desire. We're showing attachment, and so the idea is that we have to get rid of those. And so basically, you know, ultimately we do have to let go of these things and say, okay, you know, whatever I'm given, I can eat it. As long as we, you know, stick to the precepts. Let's say if we're vegetarian, then obviously if someone offers us meat, we don't take that, okay. But anything that's within our that doesn't cause us to break our precepts, then, you know, it should be okay. All right. The next is, you know, desire for a pursuit of wealth and fame. This is obviously especially in this country, you know, that's what, you know, you're encouraged to do. But, you know, this is all external material things. Wealth and fame, you know, there's a saying, you know, we all have like 5 minutes or 15 minutes of fame or whatever, being in the spotlight. You know, it doesn't last. Now, some people, we say, well, yeah, you know, they're rich for, you know, the rest of their lives. Okay, but that's something that they earned in their previous life from their, you know, so that's the karmic blessing that they get from being very generous in a previous life, or, you know, performing charity, and that's why they're getting it back as that, you know, you can say the good fortune in this life. Now you can say everyone's fortune is predetermined in this life, and so if we are not destined or pre-fated to basically receive or have that kind of fortune, you know, no matter how hard we try, we're not going to get it. And so that's something we have to recognize. Doesn't mean that we, you know, can't try. We want to strive for success in anything. We can do that. But realize the limits, okay? And, you know, not everyone can become a millionaire. Not everyone can be very famous, you know, a lot of these things. And so part of living is to be content as well. We can have aspirations, and those are good. Those are goals for us to strive for. But realize that you may not achieve it, okay? And so we should, but anyways, in terms of the wealth and fame and all these things, these are not something that we try to pursue. Again, it can be temporary. A lot of things may not last. And you know, being recognized, you know, ultimately what we want is to develop our virtues. Okay, our virtues are true. That's true merit, and that's everlasting. You know, whereas this wealth and fame, yeah, it may be good for you in this life, but then once you use it all, you don't have it anymore. Okay, virtue is always, you always have virtue. And so the path of a bodhisattva, you know, we kind of leave this behind. All right. I mean, it doesn't mean we have to be poor. Okay, poor like a monk or whatever, has nothing. You know, as long as the Buddhists say, you know, just as long as you have enough to use, enough that you can, you know, get things done, you know, that's fine. Don't overwork. I mean, so a lot of people, they spend, you know, they say, oh, they don't have time to come to the temple because they're working. Okay, so I mean, if they have enough, then, you know, there's no need to spend that time working, you know, just to get that extra, you know, money, right? You know, we have to take a longer term view of life, really. All right, and then okay, so okay, then there's like sexual pleasures, you know, sexual misconduct. I think that's one of the precepts, the 5 precepts as well. So, you know, again, sexual pleasures, the pursuing these things, again, these are not, again, I mean, these are all part of material things as well. The attachments, desires, okay. So those they give up. We give up to, okay. And then performing evil and sinful deeds, obviously, we try to do good deeds and be beneficial to others, helpful, rather than, you can say selfish. I mean, you can say that some selfish deeds are not, evil, but yet, there's usually the other side to it. So if I'm benefiting myself, it may be at the expense of someone else. Okay, so that would then become considered evil or sinful. Okay, so it's not just what we think of as evil is really like killing, things like that. Obviously, those are things that we don't want to do. We can't do. All right. Let's see, and then contending and vying with others. Okay, so it's okay to have a little bit of a competitive spirit, but because that can kind of drive us to improve ourselves. Okay, but we don't want to be so competitive that's like, oh, so there's this example of on Transmitting Master, right? And basically, whatever there was this other Transmitting Master, whatever their temple was doing, this one had to do it better, had to take it one step more. Like if they had introduced Tao to 100 people, then this one had to do, like 200 or more. Or if they had certain amount of donations, this one wanted even more. So that's kind of that's what this is talking about. So we shouldn't do that. I mean, but it's okay to look at someone else. Oh, okay. Actually, other people's success we should also praise. I mean, acknowledge and be happy for them. But it doesn't mean that we have to do the same. We try our best, okay. But we don't want to get into that mode where we're trying to contend and vie for things. All right. So these are things that we want to give up. And so this paramita, giving or charity or altruistic giving, is to overcome miserliness, the stinginess, and selfish tendencies. Okay, so we have to view through giving, right? Through giving, then we become less stingy, obviously, and less selfish. Okay, so if we can let go of the things that we have, even our time, our efforts, and especially if we can let go of things that we really cherish, that's really the true test, if you will. If we can give up our most precious thing to someone else, that is the true, true giving, if you will, true altruistic giving, that you really let go of that attachment. So that's something that we, it takes time. And so, again, these paramitas, it's something that we have to do continuously for the rest of our lives. It's not like, oh, today I gave everything I have, and then so from tomorrow on, I don't have to do anything. It's not like that. All right. So it's better. You're better off giving, giving a little every day rather than try to give everything once. And so that's something, because this is a continuous practice. Okay. So we can't just stop at some point. All right. Okay. So the next is discipline, or you can say moral discipline, or precepts, morality, and this is to be able to the discipline to be able to let go of these attachments and delusions. Okay, so we live, the Buddhists say we live in a dreamlike state, in a dreamlike world, that we're living in a dream, a fantasy, if you will, and because we don't see the true reality, we don't understand the true reality. So that's something that we have to have a discipline. So letting go, yeah, just like I said, giving, that helps, that charity, that helps to let go of those attachments, but we have to have a discipline to it. So constantly doing that. On the one hand, you can say, oh, I'm giving today, but then tomorrow I buy more things, develop more attachments, and then so you have to give it up again. So we have to have that discipline. Okay. Okay, so what we have to do, practice 3 basic precepts. Okay, refrain from harmful deeds, cultivate our virtue, and benefit all sentient beings. All right, so obviously, okay, the harmful deeds, yeah, that was mentioned in the previous one. Cultivating our virtues, practicing our virtues. That's our humanity essentially. Humanity, as defined by Confucius, is you have the 5 basic virtues, right? the compassion or benevolence, righteousness, or sense of justice, propriety or sense of order, sense of wisdom, okay, and then faith or true sincerity, actually, okay, genuineness. All right, so these are part of our virtues. There are others, of course, when filial piety, brotherhood, things like that. All right, but the idea is that we want to benefit not just ourselves but all sentient beings. Okay, and that's really the part of the Bodhisattva's vow is to benefit others. Okay, if we can truly be selfless, so in the giving we give up of ourselves, become truly selfless, then we can be like a bodhisattva, which is basically everything we do is of benefit to others without thinking of ourselves. And we really don't have to think of ourselves, because when we give to others, we're helping ourselves. We're really giving to ourselves as well. Okay, so I know from the material point of view, or from the certain points of view, that doesn't seem like that, but that really is the case in terms of what we're getting is virtue, and we're getting merit. Okay, so that's what we're really getting, and that's really the most important thing for us as cultivators. Right. We've practiced the 5 Buddhist precepts. Okay, so lecturer Mark, or now master transmitter Mark, he started talking about that before. He'll finish that topic later on. But the 5 precepts, are no killing, no stealing,
no flattery.
Yeah, no false speech. Yeah.
Drinking.
Yeah, no intoxicants or drinking, right?
And also misconduct.
Misconduct, sexual misconduct, things like that. Okay, so those are 5 precepts. So again, those are some basic precepts that we follow. Okay. We have to maintain and preserve the Buddha concentration. Okay, so this is, again, discipline is kind of hard to maintain. Sometimes we can say, oh, okay, I have this discipline for today, or maybe for a few days, but it's hard to keep that going sometimes. Okay, and so it's something that we need to work on. It's hard because it requires constant effort, and that that's talked about. These are all part of the paramitas, but so I don't know. Sometimes we have to maybe just remind ourselves that what we got to do, and to continue persist at it. Okay, so but that's actually the next paramita. But all right, learn the Buddha and temple rules and regulations. Okay, so that's part of the discipline. So like in the temple, we have rules and regulations or other precepts that we follow. So the morning, before the class, for example, we have the bowing, prayers. Also, when we come to the temple, right, we arrive in the temple, there's the arrival propriety, so that's part of it. And then the departure propriety, right? Plus there are others, the 15 rules and regulations, how we treat or how we deal with others within the temple, how we, you can say what our attitude is towards our teachers, masters, things like that, or other Daokin. Okay, so these are all part of those rules and regulations, which we have talked about in other classes, and probably will talk about in the future as well. All right, so all right, and those are actually the bowing. That's that's a good way to help us get some discipline. Don't think that you're just doing some bowing, going through some motions. You can say that when we're bowing, obviously we're bowing to our own Buddha nature, as well as the Buddhas who preceded us. And it's a time, you can say, you can try to have a time for focus and concentration at that point. It's actually, you focus on your Buddha nature. And so you can think of it as kind of like a meditation. And so that's part of the practice.
Plus, it's also going to help us with the circulation, so it has some health benefits.
Yeah, actually, it does. It helps your back. I mean, the circulation of the qi. If you're doing it right, then the qi flows through your body in the right way, and that's then you'll feel it. It feels right. Okay, so basically this then we want to overcome and you can say subdue, the 6 roots. The 6 roots are the 6 roots of our senses. Okay, the 5 physical senses, right? A sight, a hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Okay, and then plus the sense of our mind, conscious mind. Okay, it doesn't. We don't think of it as a sense, but in terms of Buddhism, they categorize all these together, and so we don't want to follow. Okay, don't want these roots to be the master. Okay, so when I smell good food, that drives me to want to eat it and desire and things like that. So that's where all our desires come from, right? Remember we talked about the 5 skandhas comes from these. Okay, so coming from the forms, the objects, and then through our senses and the consciousness of those senses that creates our view of reality, which is from the Buddha's point of view is the false view of reality. Okay, and this is unfortunately this is also the way that we create our own suffering. Okay, it's through the attachments, through our desires, through these 6 roots. Right. So ultimately, if we want to leave this realm of suffering, the samsara, then we need to overcome that. All right. So don't let our senses drive us to do things. Okay. So it's ultimately our Buddha nature, our true nature, that innate wisdom. Let that, and our conscience. Okay. Let that be our master, be our driver. All right. So through discipline, through this morality or moral discipline, then we can overcome, negligence or disorderliness or immorality and excessive tendencies. Okay, so again, we don't want to be excessive in what we do. Try to take the middle path. Doesn't mean that we don't want to succeed. We want to push ourselves, okay? We want to push ourselves to be better. But in everything else we do, we should be moderate, okay? Don't go to excess. All right. Okay, so anyways, discipline, it can be kind of hard to maintain all the time. So that's why as cultivators, we're all here to try to encourage each other, to help each other. All right, to stay on this path so that we don't kind of fall back. All right. So the next one, forbearance. Okay, this one's very important because forbearance is what? It's tolerance, it's endurance, it's patience, it's all of these. All right. Basically, this is a very hard one too. Okay. So if you think about, okay, so what do we need to do here? Being taken advantage of. Okay, so that's something that I know no one likes that. We don't. Of course, we all want to. We should avoid a situation if possible, but sometimes it's just inevitable that sometimes we'd be taken advantage of. Okay, and maybe unknowingly we don't realize it. Okay, and it happens, and that's okay. Of course, having wisdom, perhaps we can avoid certain situations. But again, this is a hard one to accept. But if it happens, it happens, and we can, we have to turn our mindset around. We always view as us and them, me and them, and that they're taking advantage of me. Okay, so once we let go of that me, then what are they taking advantage of? They're not taking advantage of me anymore. Okay, there's no me. All right, so again, this is something we should be actually try to be grateful. When we're being taken advantage of, okay, that actually, as long as we don't feel, feel bad and angry. If we can accept it, if we can be grateful, then that will reduce our karma. Okay, so that can help reduce our karmic debts. Plus, it's building up our, forbearance. Okay, our tolerance, patience. All right, and endurance, which we'll need. Okay, so except being verbally abused. Okay, so this one. It's probably easier to take. Okay, people curse us and say bad things about us, gossip about us. Ultimately, these are just words. Now, yes, someone, they can ruin our reputation with their words, but ultimately, the truth will bear out. Okay, and it's not something that we really need to get upset over. All right, so people say things. Yeah, people always say things. But words are just words. Ultimately, our actions, our virtues will overcome that. Okay, and people will recognize that. People aren't stupid. Okay, so some people may be fooled. Okay, but over time they'll realize that what they're saying is false. Okay, so it doesn't matter. All right, and again, any of these, if we can accept this kind of verbal abuse, that's helping build our character, our virtue as well. All right.
Can share a story really quick.
Sure.
Yeah, talking about tolerating a gossip or rumor. There is a girl who got pregnant, illegally because she didn't get married, but she became pregnant, and so the parents were very very upset, and so she's asking. They asked her who got her pregnant. But the man, who was involved didn't step forward. So the girl claims that this one of the monks in a temple nearby, and the monk didn't try to deny the fact or anything. So after the child was born, he was sent to the temple to be raised by the monk, but later, it turns out it wasn't a monk at all, and so people asked the monk, why did he admit something that he didn't do at all? He said, if I didn't come out to take the responsibility, then the child might got maybe aborted, and the young man might have some of the bad consequences. So in that way, no one benefited. So he rather take all this blame and take the bad name and help all other people. That's the true forbearance.
Yeah, it's very selfless too. I mean, taking the blame for something you didn't do to prevent maybe some bad things from happening. Okay, so that's also using wisdom, but ultimately it's through your compassion that you can overcome a lot of things. Okay, prevent problems. All right, so yeah, but that's definitely forbearance. Being able to accept something that's not even your fault. Okay, so that ultimately we can do that. That's the best thing. That again, it can resolve a lot of problems. All right, okay. To change our mindset. Okay, to change our mind. How we view. I mentioned, how we view things. If there is no me, no ego, then who is being hurt? Okay, are their words or whatever hurting me? That me doesn't exist. All right, so it doesn't matter. And ultimately, we also want to view, our existence. Well, our existence is linked to everyone, all sentient beings, to nature. We're not alone. And ultimately, our view, the Buddha's view, is that we're all one. Okay, there is no separation. You know, so you know, what we also need to do is feel sad for the persons, you know, who may be taking advantage of us or abusing us because they're unenlightened. Because really, ultimately, they're hurting themselves. Really, they hurt themselves more than they're hurting us. Okay, when they abuse us and take advantage of us, and because they're creating these karmic seeds, you know, of basically a future suffering. Okay, so so again, that's, you know, this mindset we have to change. All right, accept unfavorable situations. Yeah, a lot of things, especially in life. You know, we feel, oh, we're we're born in a bad situation, or maybe now in my life I'm in a bad situation. It doesn't mean that we should just give up and just let things go as it is, but accept the fact that, yeah, these things will happen, and we obviously we do our best to try to get out of them, to improve our situation, but but we don't want to be complaining. Okay, again, that's part of our mindset. All right, so we don't want to complain that, oh, you know, how bad things are for me, you know, things like that, because that will only perpetuate it, and that's really where our suffering comes from. Okay, so this is, you know, part of our mindset. You know, whether we are happy or sad, it's all in our mind. Okay, so we can control it. It should not depend on what's external. We shouldn't let the external situation determine, you know, how we are, what's the state of mind. All right, so ultimately, you know, the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas, the state of mind, state of equanimity, that mind of composure, calmness, equality. You know, so if we practice all these, you know, precepts, these 6 paramitas, you know, that'll help us get there. Okay, and that's the goal, to not let any of our, you know, the 6 roots or anything affect that. All right. Okay. Turn around anger and hatred. Okay, so obviously, when we're being abused or taken advantage of, yeah, it's easy we feel anger, we feel hatred, and you know, we have to overcome that. You know, you can say patience is also, you know, people who are impatient, right? Then you can say the opposite of being patient is that they're impatient and they easily get angry, right? So we have to have patience. Okay, that's the way to overcome anger. You know, patience and tolerance, you can say, to overcome anger and hatred. You know, maybe if we're like teaching someone and it's like, you know, after 10 tries they can't get it, and it's like we lose our cool, right? And we start losing patience, and frustration sets in, and we get angry. We have to overcome that. And the only way to overcome that is really to be patient, and that's something we have to. Let's see. There's how do I say this? Basically, we have to do that for a lifetime, or actually beyond a lifetime. Okay, so you know, it's like I say, oh, okay, I'm patient. Yeah, for a day or a week, a month. I mean, can you be patient for a year? How many years, right? You have to be patient till your last breath, okay? And then even beyond that. So after our last breath, if, you know, as a bodhisattva, you know, we have to come back again and help more sentient beings. And so that patience is eternal, all right? So that's something that we really need to work on. And that's kind of, it's tough, but, you know, we every time, you know, that's any time, you know, we feel like we're about to lose our patience, we need to take a step back. You know, if we're going to get angry, you know, take some deep breaths. And so basically to overcome that, it's, I don't know, we have to constantly self-reflect, you know, look within, reflect on ourselves. You know, you can ask yourself, you know, why get angry? There's nothing, if we think that getting angry will make the situation better, yeah, go ahead. But I can guarantee you that, you know, 99% of the time at least, that getting angry does not help the situation, it makes things worse, all right? So
I
So
think a base for that is to have a compassion.
yeah,
Because if we can teach other people this, then it means we are better off than him or her in this regard. So
yeah, right. Yeah, ultimately, it comes down also right. Compassion, that compassionate heart, always being willing to help be a benefit to others, no matter what. Okay, no matter what, however long it takes. um, that that's a true compassionate heart. Okay, so that's again a bodhisattva, Buddha, that they have that kind of heart. Right, so that's something we want to strive for. Okay, okay, so through this forbearance, through the tolerance, endurance, patience, we can overcome anger, okay, intolerance, impatience, impatient tendencies. Okay, so that's the practice. So I don't know. It's too bad Rolando's not here today because he teaches anger management. But I'm sure patience is one of the key to that anger management. Okay, so again, if we want to overcome anger, if we want things, we have to be patient and tolerant. All right, and compassion is one way to help you do that. All right. Okay, so next, diligence. Okay, this is, putting in that effort, right? So vigorous effort and positive energy and with an unwavering resolve, determination. Okay, so this is very important, again, to help us maintain that. And this is also hard to maintain, okay? So, it's like maybe today, oh yeah, I feel inspired to, yes, really put in the effort. But then tomorrow you relax off again. It's hard to keep this going, and it's very tough. But you must be able to. Okay, so you shouldn't make excuses. All right, it's easy to make excuses. It's like, oh yeah, I have something that I have to do. House cleaning, or I gotta go shopping, do something. So I don't want to come and do the temple stuff, or those are excuses. Unless you have some urgent need to do something else that it's very important. Yes, you can go do it. But everything else is we tend to make excuses, and the more we do it, make excuses, the easier it is to make excuses, and easier it is to then stop doing things. All right, so try not to make excuses. Find a way even when there is seemingly no way. Okay, so a lot of times we hit a roadblock. Something is like, yeah, it seems like it's so difficult. I can't get past this. Whether it's personal thing that a lot of times, actually, probably most of the obstacles are self-created. Okay, they're mental. All right. A lot of people, they say, oh no, they're assigned a task and they say, oh no, I can't do that. But it's not that they can't do it. The immediate reaction is they don't want to do it, okay, because they don't feel comfortable. All right, so that's all mental. If there are certain skill sets involved, yes, okay, that's something, a different story, but we can always learn, right? And that's okay. And it's not to say that immediately you have to be able to do things perfectly. Okay, so but we have to overcome that. It's this internal obstacle, internal mental blocks that prevent us from progressing. All right, so we say, no, there's no way I can do that. But really, as the problem is, once we have that mindset, it becomes self-fulfilling. Okay, and so that is something that we have to overcome. All right, we have to immediately get rid of that. People who are successful are always positive. Okay, it doesn't matter. They've never faced this obstacle before, never faced these challenges. Their positive thinking can overcome it. Right? Don't underestimate the power of the mind. The power is really the power of our Buddha nature. Okay, so that is very important to understand. Once we can think that way, we think positive. Even though we've never done something before, we're willing to try and put in that effort, and having that positive mindset, almost always you can overcome and succeed. Okay, so that is something that a lot of times people have fear, fear of speaking in the public or things like that. For example, that just needs we have to it takes practice, of course, to overcome. But mentally, we have to have the right attitude. If we don't have the right attitude, it's not going to work. Okay, so.
And just like in the past, without the machinery, people were able to polish a rod into a needle. That's the type of sincerity and persistence.
Yeah, certainly today we have a lot of conveniences to help us, but and yet it's strange that people become less patient. While we have these conveniences that help us do things, I guess maybe it's because of that. All right, so like Virginia said, in the past people had to do things manually. You required a lot of patience to get the result that you needed, and so they've been practicing that forbearance, that patience. Whereas today, everything is instant gratification, instant, this and that, and so there is no patience anymore. All right, so that's something that we think about. Okay, so basically, this diligence of effort. So putting in that effort. Okay, so it overcomes that inertia, that lack of will, the laziness. Okay, basically. So we can't be lazy. If we want to succeed. And there are many sentient beings that need our help, and so we need to, obviously we have to help ourselves first to understand, to progress, and then as we're doing that, then we can help others, right? Okay, concentration, or this is single-minded concentration or focus, okay? So this is something that sometimes we lose that focus too. What are we doing? Why are we? What is our purpose? What is our goal, our aim? All right. So as part of our, if we're following practicing the 6 paramitas, if we want to truly become enlightened, become like the bodhisattvas, the Buddhas, then we need that focus. That is you can say that is our bigger goal. And along the way, we have many other goals. Following those precepts, etc. Right. So we have to be able to let go of all forms and attachments. Okay. So have this concentration, this focus. All right. So don't be distracted and lose your focus and suddenly I see something and I really want that and just you slip back. Okay. So we want to stop any kind of or get rid of any kind of absurd, irrational, wishful thinkings. Okay. Things that fantasy. Okay. It's not real, not realistic. All right. So get rid of those. Eliminate any kind of confusion we may have. So basically try to maintain that focus. It's not to say that everything that we do, we should have a focus, okay, a concentration. Otherwise, we're not going to do it well. All right. So whatever task we're doing, focus on that. But at the same time, we're focused, but we should also have a mindfulness and a greater mindfulness and awareness. Okay, don't just be so focused on something that you ignore everything else. Okay, so that's not what this is all about. All right. Okay, so this concentration, this focus, allows us to overcome any lack of clarity. External influences. Don't let other things. If the situation changes, don't let that change our focus, our concentration. Okay, so suddenly right now, cultivation is okay, but then suddenly situation changes for the worse, and then we decide, oh no, then I'm going to give up. Okay, so we can't do that. All right. All right.
I think this is also the same with the cultivation of the Tao. We find the right path. We find the right direction. We are on the right. The right course, and we don't get distracted by other dharmas or other teachings or religions. We focus on the concentrate. This is how we can really get to the other shore.
Yeah, when we're beginning, we're learning. Like we're learning what the true principles, the true dharma is. But then outside, we're going to hear a lot too, and we're going to read a lot. What other people say and what we read on the internet and all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there. But that we don't. Then this talks about the wisdom, but knowing to differentiate what's true and what's not. Now, obviously the Buddha's words, their teachings, we can accept those as true because they've become Buddhas, they've become enlightened, and so they're not going to mislead us. Now, what other people say out there, we don't know. But so as we build up, we need to build up a foundation. Okay. The other thing is, having that faith, that sincerity in this Tao, the true Dharma, that will help us. Then don't be distracted by all these other things, especially today. Maybe the phenomenal world. Okay, it's things like strange things or strange powers. Okay, if we're attracted to those, then we're gonna lose the truth. All right, so be careful of that. Okay, so finally the wisdom, right? Giving us true insight, ultimately to be able to see things as they really are, see the true reality, okay? We want to overcome, any kind of ignorance we have. Ignorance, that's very broad, covers everything, but ultimately the opposite of ignorance is wisdom, all right? So through our attachments, desires, things like that. So get rid of all those. Realize the emptiness of everything, the three minds of the past, present, future. We just want to be in the moment, okay? Comprehend the truth, okay, the truth and Dharma, okay, differentiate the true from the false, and we also have to, using our wisdom to speak appropriately. We don't want to say, things that suddenly pop up in our mind, it's being too direct, things like that. We use our wisdom to speak.
Christine does not have to use the entire class.
Oh, okay. Well, this is almost
so you don't have to rush through.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Let me see. Well, basically, wisdom overcomes our ignorance, our foolish tendencies. Okay. So this is ultimately, the six paramitas. Yes, you can say that we can do it stage, one at a time, but actually you need to combine all of them. Okay. So we can't just give without, I think we've talked about this before, giving without using our wisdom, okay? But, okay, so we'll take a break here. Maybe we'll pick up discussion later.